You hear many of the things I share here. But I don't want to become another voice telling people what to do. Do this. Do that. Because honestly, that rarely works. Each person is already big enough, wise enough, and complex enough to decide what belongs in their life and what does not. What serves them and what they are ready to leave behind. So I don't see these reflections as instructions. They are simply thoughts placed into the open air. You can take what resonates and leave the rest without hesitation. Today I was thinking about something simple. Words and essence. Every day we hear thousands of words, conversations, headlines, notifications, passing remarks, information moving constantly through the mind. But I often ask myself a quiet question when I hear something. How does this serve me? For example, imagine hearing a piece of random information, something like a television being on in another room or a stream of meaningless commentary, words moving, sounds filling space, but offering nothing that nourishes the mind. To me, much of that becomes simply noise entering the brain. Words are not neutral. Words have value. Words have weight. Words have power. They shape how we think, how we feel, and how we see the world. So I try, as much as I can, to be mindful of what I allow into my mind. Not perfectly, no one can filter everything, but with intention. I try to allow in what carries meaning, what helps me grow, what opens perspective or deepens understanding. And sometimes the most meaningful space is not filled with more words at all. Sometimes it is simply silence. An empty mind is not an empty life. It can be a receptive one. When the mind is not constantly crowded, something else becomes possible. We begin to notice life itself more clearly. A thought that appears naturally. A moment of clarity, a quiet sense of guidance that does not come from outside voices. And in that openness, we may begin to hear what truly matters. This is not a moral lesson. Some people thrive surrounded by conversation, activity, and constant connection. For them, the movement of many voices is nourishing, but for others, less becomes more, fewer conversations, more meaningful ones, less noise, more listening, less scattered attention, more presence. Sometimes I wonder what happens if we choose to live that way. If we keep a life rooted in meaning, if we reserve our conversations for those that truly nurture, if we water the ideas, relationships, and actions that help something real grow, what kind of life slowly forms from that? Perhaps something quieter, perhaps something clearer, but most likely something that feels genuinely our own. And maybe that is a quiet question worth sitting with today. Where do I find meaning in my life?